Welcome to the celebrated nightly news of Calaveras County. I'm John.
I'm Sarah, and this is the Jazzy Edition.
This is the Jazzy Edition because, see, we haven't had any bumper music.
No.
And people think that we should have
music.
Bumper music. It's like, where's your lead in? Where's, So, we have bumper music, and this is also a promo for Project Gutenberg. And if you're not familiar with it, this is a wonderful online tool of over 20,000 ebooks. Mm-hmm. So basically almost anything that's out of copyright and even some original music. Now this is music from the 30s.
Yes.
So this, we don't know if we will keep this bumper music, but this is coming courtesy to us from Project Gutenberg. Okay.
And what's the website on that? Should anybody want to check on? Gutenberg. Google Project
Gutenberg. In fact, we will go right back to it now, and we will interrupt our wonderful bumper music here, but I'm sure you may not mind after this much.
Yes.
So, yes, it's Project Gutenberg, and it's just Gutenberg.org.
Okay.
And that was the Earl Fulmer's famous jazz band.
Okay.
That's when it was. And Jazz Deluxe. That's what it was. And that was our bumper music for tonight. And also tonight, we have a new advertiser. They don't know it yet.
No, they don't.
But since we're looking for a sales surge based on product placement.
That's right.
So
we decided we would place product.
Diet Coke.
What an innovative concept.
And we're actually drinking Diet Coke on the set. Let's try it. Let's see. Here we go.
Let's see how it goes.
Oh, that's delicious! Oh,
tastes just like Diet Coke.
That is wonderful. So
yes,
we would like to thank Diet Coke for sponsoring the program. Mm-hmm. Well,
almost sponsoring the program.
So there we go. So if you have a product and you
you're not supposed to place the product and then take it away. So.
But if you have a product that you would like placed on the nightly news or used on the nightly news. Right?
Contact John.
Contact us, and we will get you all set up.
Place your product.
There you go.
See, I told him he's not supposed to take away the product.
But it's like a 30-second commercial, right? Okay, we'll leave it there on camera. It'll be on camera the whole time.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
All right, let me get that. Oh.
The dancing dope.
There we go. All right. Okay. See, that's what
products for today.
So that's what happens when you spend 3 hours sitting in a board of supervisors meeting.
That's right. Audio streaming live.
Yes, this was our second week. We got a few more tweaks and stuff to do, but this was our second week of live audio streaming.
There were quite a few people listening to it, which was very cool. So
if
you want to listen to the board of supervisors as they're talking.
Live.
That's right. Turn on the pine tree and tune right in.
All right.
Absolutely. But there was a fire this morning.
Yes, there was.
In Arnold.
And there was a structure fire today. There was a residence off of Meadowview was completely destroyed. Broke out early this morning. Cause is yet to be determined of these usual cases. They must have felt there was something a little bit suspicious because they did call out the investigators.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
okay.
They did. But sometimes that may mean nothing, because I think
that's true. It could be
in some ways you feel. Because it's like insult to injury. Your house burns down, and then the investigators are there at the same time. So anyway, we hope it was nothing. And anyway, we're sorry for the people who happened to. Obviously, the good thing is there was no loss of life or injury.
Exactly.
And if you look, we do have pictures of it. So if you look at the front of the site, it is completely engulfed and destroyed. So, anyway.
So, the other news was Board of Supervisors. 3 hours?
About 3 hours.
About 3 hours.
Yeah. I didn't go to the study sessions this afternoon, but...
These meetings are just getting very long every week.
Well, budget took
Angels
up a lot.
Camp met, was it on the 19th?
For their...
just the regular council meeting was 4.5 hours. COG
that
was pretty short.
But that was on the real estate
the
issue.
Greenhorn Creek issue.
So that one They knew
Board
it
of
was,
Supervisors
they knew it
met
was going to
for
be a
3 or, what was it, 5
5+
hours
hours
week.
last week.
This week it was 3+ hours.
We know what it is. They want to make sure that the taxpayers get their money's worth.
That's right. Did you know Board of Supervisors? I mean, supervisors, it's a part-time job?
Yeah.
It's a
For
part-time
most of it,
job.
it's full-time.
Well, they work full-time,
They work
but they
full-time.
get paid part-time.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd toss that
Yeah.
out there.
Now, see, this is. Well, how about, see, on the Pine Tree, we work
All the time.
24/7, and a part-time wage would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
But
what happened to Board of Supervisors
the Diet Coke
today?
is awfully good.
Here we go. Remember, Diet Coke. If you want to raise your sales in Calaveras County, this is the place to advertise.
That's right.
There we
That's
go.
right. There's a lot that happened in the board today.
There was.
They have a new Veterans Memorial that got approved.
It did.
That
Scouts
will
are
be
going to build it.
Yeah, Boy Scouts. Drake Walker, apparently, is the Eagle Scout who wants to use that as his Eagle Scout project. And part of building the memorial is actually going to be transferring the 2 cannons from the San Andreas People's Cemetery to the Government Center.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be a nice little memorial built by Veterans Day in November, where they want to dedicate it at that time.
And also minor mishaps. I'm going to bounce off Board of Soups for a second.
Okay.
And we'll just ping pong around, right?
Sure, we'll have
That
ping
way-
pong news
Yes,
tonight.
we'll ping pong news. And now that the ball's back in my court, briefly, then we'll go back to Sarah. An air tanker was involved in a minor mishap on Monday evening. And I guess some landing gear failed, and Barbara George from CAL FIRE's information officer said it would be out of commission for about a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no injuries or anything like that, but
Wow.
yeah. So there we go.
A week isn't too bad.
Not too bad. So we got to don't light anything on fire
Yes,
the
no
next
fires.
week or so. There
no
you
fires in the next week.
go. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Back to
Sheriff? Dennis Downham? Yes?
you. Should we do the ping pong noise?
I
No,
can't do
let's
the.
not. Okay.
I
All
can't
right.
do that.
Okay. Down. Let's do this.
Sheriff Dennis Downham actually, his resolution to the Board of Soups today got approved.
Yes, for the
For a
planning.
consultant,
Yes, for
exactly.
long-term planning for the
It's
department.
$34,800, which is actually paid for from an assembly bill funds.
Right.
And it is to consult to find out about employment issues and growth issues and those types of issues in the county for a 20-year plan.
Right.
So that the county can plan for what law enforcement needs they'll need in the future. And he also apparently brought up the fact that he wanted it written into the general plan that there will be 1 officer hired per 1,000 people of population.
I think that's the general guideline that is in the plan already, or the plan, their long-term planning already, isn't it?
I've never seen that in the general plan.
Well, I guess
There is a law, a public safety element
okay.
that's folded in, but it's literally
I guess that's
a couple
wish
pages.
list.
That's
I'd say
it.
that's the wish list. But anyway, it was interesting to where, and this was an exchange between Supervisor Calloway and Dennis Downham. It was not adversarial by any means,
No,
but
it was a
basically
discussion.
to where
It was a
a
discussion.
discussion to where, obviously if you're a department head, it would be nice if you had your funding written in stone that you were going to get X amount of dollars, or you would have 1
Exactly.
officer per 1,000 population. Then you're pretty good, or at least
Yes.
you know
You know what your
framework of what your
parameters
parameters are. And the Board of Supervisors pushed back on this a little bit in the fact that they said that they had the same goals as for the department as he did, but this is not something that they wanted basically hard-coded into the general plan, which I can understand, because that way, if you have tight budget years like you have now or anything like that, then you have basically a large segment of the county's budget that has no wiggle.
It's immovable.
Yeah. And
It's almost like the propositions that have been passed on the state level that
Right.
have frozen certain amounts of monies for certain aspects of state government.
Right.
And they cannot then, like in our personal lives, we move money around. At least I move money around from account to account.
You rob Peter to pay Paul.
Paul. Exactly. And pray that Peter never finds out. But you have the ability to move money from account to account to make sure that everything is flowing smoothly and everything
Right.
gets covered in case things get tight. On the state level, because of the initiative process that has gone on, for many years now, a lot of funds are absolutely frozen. So what they do is they get around that through these little loopholes.
Right.
But the counties, obviously, they're not as large as the state, and as far as loopholes go, if you hardwire something into the general plan, finding a loophole for that is very difficult. So you
Right.
have a chunk of the budget that is immovable.
Right.
And that was my understanding was
That's the
Supervisor
basis
Calloway's
of their not wanting for that one to go.
not wanting it to. But there is actually an incredible amount of support for law enforcement on the board.
Undoubtedly,
and,
undoubtedly,
and Sheriff Downham has done an incredible
Yeah,
job bringing in grants,
this is-
bringing in more sheriff's deputies. I mean, the department has completely changed.
And I
since
think
he's
today
been-
was, not. Yeah, it's just you don't want it hard coded.
No.
That was the only issue.
No.
The other one, I guess, they did approve septic moving to environmental health.
Yes.
So septic, the on-site sewage will be moving to environmental health.
And
Out
that
from
will
underneath planning.
That will take place next week, is my understanding.
Yeah.
On Monday, those employees are going to be underneath a new department.
And Stephanie Moreno, the community development director, did say today that there are 2 meetings that are going to be held on the legal access issue. And these were short notice on these, but I guess they felt comfortable that the real estate community, they could get the word out to them, an email blast or whatever. And they're both going to be in San Andreas at the San Andreas Town Hall.
Okay.
We stopped by one of them today.
Yes.
And they were talking about legal access issues. And this is an interesting thing that she brought up in the discussion. One of the discussions today is that one of the options that was raised last week is that the county gets out of requiring it, because then it becomes back more of a state mandated or civil
Exactly.
access, because there's still things, for example, fire access, you have to have access that conforms to fire regulations. So there's, and it doesn't look like the Board of Supes are going to go that lax on it and get out of it entirely. It looks like they want to have some, at least from what they were saying when they pulled the board at the end of last week's meeting. But if you have questions on the legal access issues, those meetings will be tonight, which is the one tonight is already over, and we did stop by that one, and they were I was very happy because the pace, the tone of them was very non-adversarial.
So
It was very nice. It was Jeff White was there, and Stephanie Moreno, and it was like a roundtable discussions on candid issues on what the county faces on constraints on these issues, and it was actually very, very nice.
Okay.
Very
conversational.
Yes, it was.
There it
So
is.
those meetings are actually tonight and tomorrow night, and they will be held starting at 4 p.m.
Okay. At the San Andreas Town
at
Hall.
the San Andreas Town Hall, starting at 4 p.m. And if you have more questions on that, call 754-6394. And those, because I know that there were people that had. It was interesting to see that. I was expecting more of a real estate crowd, but the people that apparently, from what I saw, these were actually landholders that were there. And this was an interesting one today. There was a lot of people who, at least what I saw, that would actually be affected by this directly, and they were curious on that, which I thought was actually a good thing.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things from today. Legal access town hall meetings will be at Town Hall.
Town Hall in San Andreas. And budget news, preliminary budget was passed today.
Correct.
$95 million preliminary tight budget. And also the hiring freeze that we had mentioned yesterday as a possible solution to the county's budget woes did not pass. The Board of Supervisors did not
took
vote
no action.
to...
Yeah, they took no action. So, I guess... and the other thing is they did create a new position today for...
Maybe that's why they didn't decide anything.
no,
about
it was...
hiring freeze.
I guess there's going to be, and you may have been following this closer than I have, I guess there's going to be retirement and also one staff personnel moving to the Amador County from the elections department.
No, I didn't hear
Yes,
that.
and so that was...
Moving from Amador to
no,
Calaveras?
Calaveras to Amador from that
Who is
department.
that?
I didn't catch the name. But that way, they were also looking at creating a position as well. So basically, they're going to have to find staffing for replacement of personnel. Then also, they were, and the supervisors were very, very direct on this, is they created the position for the elections department and also told them that it was okay if they went and advertised for the position.
Oh, okay.
Because, and Supervisor Tryon kind of took the lead on this one. He says, with the upcoming elections next year, that they wanted to make
Which
sure...
you will be involved in.
Well, but they also want to make sure that, also
Well, we think
presidential...
he will.
At the presidential elections and
Yes,
things
exactly.
like that. They want to make sure that
Because
they have
it's
adequate...
changed. It's
Yes.
changed. The primary's in January
Right.
now.
And the question, and I guess what came up is if they waited until the final budget was passed and everything else to do this,
They wouldn't.
they may not have enough time to get somebody in place, up to speed, because that's a well-functioning... That's a
It's a
nice
great
department. Yeah.
Karen Varney does a wonderful job, and the employees in that department are fabulous. The wealth of knowledge in the elections department
Yeah.
is more than any of us have combined. Either
Well, I
one
wouldn't
of
be
us.
adding to the
Either
combined
one of us.
but anyway,
Either
they
one
want
of
to make
us,
sure that
but
they had
yeah.
adequate staffing, so that got
Yes.
approved.
Good.
And going forward, so basically, it sounds like they'll be able to start looking for, creating a new position and filling some right now. And speaking of elections, later this evening we're going to have results on the write-in elections
Okay.
for example in Murphy's
Mm-hmm.
on the
Measure
funding.
A and B.
Yes, so as soon as we know those, we will get those posted for you.
Mm-hmm.
And another item,
The olive orchard. I
Yes.
want to say the olive orchard, but it's not.
the new Olive subdivision.
Yes.
Yes.
Was approved.
Was approved.
It was
after much
approved.
discussion.
It's actually in Burson, and that was approved. And apparently, it was the roads.
It was, and I guess
Part
what
of
they're
the
talking
issue
about
and
is
the
and-
actual size of the parcels.
the parcels. But what was really the issue, and I need to be corrected and updated on this if this is actually unique. But they were talking about a lot of discussion on net versus gross acreages on being sold. For example, some of these are listed as 5-acre parcels, but with the road easements and everything else, they may be lucky to get 3.5. But that may be a little unique. Maybe the numbers were a little higher on this one as far as gross versus net, but that's probably typical, isn't it?
I would imagine so.
And so then they got into the discussions of, let's say, if an accident happened on road that was technically the parcel owner's property but county maintained, whose chain of liability is it in an automobile accident? All kinds of fun and lively discussions on that. So, but it did get approved.
And in national news, the plan to study the draining of Hetch Hetchy is dead.
It's dead?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Let me
Really?
go back up here. Yep. The House on Tuesday drove a stake
A stake
through the heart
through the
of
heart.
President Bush's proposal
Does
to
that
study
mean
draining
it was,
Hetch Hetchy
it was
Reservoir.
dammed?
Yes, I think so. I think so.
Silence
So,
of the damned.
The
Is that-
silence of the damned, yes.
Never mind. We're just all over.
Of course, there is some talk that, that's where San Francisco's water supply comes from,
Right.
is Hetch Hetchy. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Were you saying that there was local interest in draining it to deprive them of water? Is that?
There's always these rumors that go around, It depends on who's in power in the White House. And you just want to deprive the San Francisco Dems of their water.
Of their water, yes.
And they're always the ones driving around. Well, I shouldn't say always. You should never generalize like
Right.
this. But there are quite
Especially
a few
in
of
news.
those Restore Hetch Hetchy bumper stickers that you see down in San Francisco.
Yeah, but you knew who else was for it too.
But they don't realize, I think, that their water comes from Hetch Hetchy.
Yes, but our congressman was for it.
Yes. And he's a
Admirably so.
Republican, isn't he?
Yeah, and his thing was
My
that's
case is made.
his wife and he met. And
Yes,
fell
it
in love.
was.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it was so romantic.
It was, and he wanted to see, if we could get 2 Yosemite valleys, why not? Right?
True. We don't have enough water as it is, so you start draining
Yeah.
water storage, and you've got some trouble.
Got issues.
Got issues.
A little bit of stuff on this weekend. This will be the Arnold Parade this weekend. This is the biggie. This is the big 4th of July
The
hoopla
big
parade. The big,
hoopla, yeah.
probably arguably, isn't this like the biggest parade in the county?
It is.
It
It
is.
is. It is
Some
on
people,
Highway 4.
Yeah, some people think it may be the Irish Days parade, but
No, this comes down from
This is the big
Upper
parade.
Moran Road.
Upper Moran Road comes down
all
to
the way
Cedar
down
Center.
to Cedar Center, and at one time it came all the
All
way
the way
down
down.
to Big Trees
And the reason they did not, or they chose to do that,
Shopping
is
Center.
because the little kids were getting caught and tuckered out. They'd get.
I thought it was because they didn't want to walk that far.
That was it. They were getting tired.
Oh, the
Those
little
guys
kids
were
in
getting
the
tired.
parade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
After they got past that mile marker, they were like going, "Oh,
I
I'm
wanna
done. I don't want to go to this parade anymore." And that's what Sarah's doing on the newscast right now. It's like, oh. Anyway, okay, all right.
I'm no.
Yeah, I guess
Anyway, but it's actually kind of a very cool parade
it is
to go to
It's a great
because
parade.
it's a very community orientated parade.
No
and-
worries if you can't make it. We'll take care of it. Just come back to the Pine Tree and we'll.
But you won't get a flag. The
That's true.
Ebbets Pass Veterans Memorial District hands out flags to every.
Are you
little
riding
child.
in it?
No,
No.
I'm not riding in it.
Okay, but also they throw candy on the parade route. So if you're
Yes.
watching it later,
Uh-huh.
we will attempt to throw it.
That,
It won't
that
work.
Charlie and the
Yeah.
Chocolate Factory scene? Did you remember that from
No.
Charlie and the Chocolate?
Never saw
Oh, you
that.
don't watch movies.
Well, occasionally.
Not
But-
Charlie and the Chocolate. But you probably do remember the television scene in the latest Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
What, they could throw candy through the camera? Is that the?
They beamed it through,
They beamed
and-
it.
like teleported it
The
through
candy.
television
Oh.
into the television, and you just reached right in
Reached
and
right
got
and
the
grabbed your
Wonka
candy.
bar.
We're not going to have that tech in place. And we try to be a little bit cutting edge as far as, at least here locally, as
That's-
far
that's
as
pretty cutting
as,
edge,
You
yes.
know, but for the Pine Tree, as far as using what technological advances we can efficiently to drive forward news coverage for Calaveras County, we're not going to get the teleporting candy thing done by the parade time. So
Yeah,
if you
maybe
want,
next year.
So if you want candy thrown at you, by all means, show up and line the parade route. Mm-hmm. But if you're
And
going
get
to
your
watch
little
it,
American flag. too.
yeah, if you're going to watch it later, we're not going to have candy for you.
No candy. Too bad.
I know. The parades usually run about 45 minutes to an hour. And this is kind of the fun ones kind of up here is they always have the homeowners associations come out and
Yes, they do.
try to have bragging rights for the best
the best
you know,
floats
the
because
Blue
they
Lake
all have
Springers versus Meadowmont.
exactly.
And,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
So the Blue Lakers are like, yes, there's no way none of those other plebeian
Homeowners
they're
Association.
going to beat us, right?
Yeah.
That's right. We're Blue Lake Springs. Don't you forget it. Oh, we're going to get probably some nasty email. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. But it is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to
kinda
see
cute.
the
and you
community
see the
pride.
little
Yeah.
kids on their ATVs and
Yeah.
their motorcycles and that type of thing. So yeah, it's good.
And also, can we touch on a little bit of national news? I know you don't come to hear for national news. We know that. We know that. But it looks like Murdoch is buying the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, he is.
Yep. And it looks like he's buying the Wall Street Journal.
And the female pharaoh mummy was found.
Yep, the female pharaoh
They tried.
mummy.
They tried to erase her from
She
history.
She looks pretty good for being kind of old.
She does.
Could use a little Botox.
I
but
forgot what her name was.
She could use a dermabrasion because she's looking. You know, the discoloration patches on her face are looking.
Yeah, she looks pretty darn good considering she's thousands of years old. They did. She was actually a pharaoh for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Really?
And it wasn't until, I think, the last 10 years that they actually found any trace of her.
Wow.
The following pharaoh actually destroyed as much of the references to her reign as possible.
Wow. It must have been that bad.
No, she was a female and they wanted to erase all traces of her.
Oh, and also the biggest news of the day, Paris is
Hilton got out of jail.
There we go. All
Got
right.
out of jail. The second biggest news is I lost my cursor again here.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
The iPhone is launching in a couple days. Much hype about the iPhone.
Yeah.
And kind of interesting thing is, if you're looking at this, is kind of interesting. I don't. Maybe we'll make it because we're not cable yet. But this is the news ratings. Fox News O'Reilly had 2.7 million viewers.
2.7, yeah, essentially.
And coming in
2.7.
Hardball had 397,000. Glenn Beck 511,000. Number 2 was Hannity and Combs with 1.7. Then Greta. Then Shepard Smith. Britt Hume. Larry King. Oh, he's getting
397,000 is not very much in today's world.
No, see, we're getting close.
We do pretty well.
See, if we've got,
and we even have Diet Coke as advertisers.
Yeah, and 397. All we need is those other 3 zeros.
Yeah.
What's a few digits? I mean, come
true.
on. But also, the interesting thing is the web is doing some fun things on this, and we won't get too off on. But there are some web shows now that are getting a couple 100,000 viewers a day, and that's pretty close. If you look
it's
at,
very close to low-end cable.
Some of the web stuff is pretty close to low-end cable, and which is pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. What else should we do? Weather? What do you got? You got anything fun over there?
I don't have anything fun over here.
Nothing.
I think it's just great they found the female
pharaoh.
Absolutely, that's just fabulous.
And I probably don't have any opinion on it otherwise, because I'm not female, so I probably, right? So I can't have an opinion?
You can have an opinion. What's your opinion?
I don't know.
I'll let him have an opinion.
Yeah. This is kind of an interesting thing on web rankings. This is what we did the cable rankings, right? And these are the top 15 websites in the news and media.
Look at this. It says study. Chit chat hinders patience.
No way. Really?
Go back to your web ranking.
Does it hinder the news?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Number 1